are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Wednesday and Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, a.k.a. Ben Real Verse World. And today's special guest is Jerreau, a rapper from Columbus, Ohio, who rose to fame as a solo artist after LeBron James featured his debut single, Really Got It, on his Instagram channel right before the NBA playoffs. This feature created a massive wave for Jerreau, which opened up opportunities to perform at the NBA Finals and get his song featured on NBA 2K and a National Beats commercial. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Jerreau's been in the game for over 10 years, coming up in a rap group called Fly Union that released several albums featuring artists such as Big Sean Curren, Dom Kennedy, and Chip the Ripper, to name a few. Some of the things that you can expect in this episode are the first time he met LeBron in 2009 and got confirmation that Bron fucked with his group's music. How his rap group Fly Union was able to land their first nationwide tour with TDE and Kendrick Lamar right at the exact time that Good Kid, Mad City was dropping. The difficult time when his Fly Union group imploded shortly after landing a major label deal with Interscope. The moment he woke up and saw LeBron James posted his very first single as a solo artist on his Instagram feed right before he took an IG hiatus, resulting in an insane amount of attention on his song. His experience performing at the 2016 NBA Finals and getting to take his father to his first NBA game to see his son perform. And guess what? LeBron won the finals that year. It's fucking crazy. How working out opened up his mental clarity to allow him to create his latest project, Keep Everything Yourself, and so much more. This dude's story is incredible and a testament to determination. We're excited for you to hear this one today. But first, if this is your first time tuning in the podcast, you are probably wondering,
what the fuck is Black with No Cream?
Great question. Black with No Cream is the illest educational resource for content creators fueled by caffeine. Or at least I take my coffee black with no cream, but you can drink or not drink whatever caffeine you fuck with and still be a part of our community. We have thousands of members from all around the world working together by sharing content, asking for feedback, passing tips and tricks along to one another with the goal of pushing each other to become the best motherfucking content creators on earth. And you can join our private group if you want to by going to bwnc.com/join. We would love to fucking have you. Please join. All right, that's it. Enjoy the work week. Keep creating. Make sure to tune in every single Wednesday and Sunday for a new Black with No Cream podcast episode. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Black with No Cream. Send us a screenshot if you're listening to this episode so we know that you're tuned in. Make sure to follow us on YouTube to access all of our educational content and share this episode out with someone who needs it. If you find it helpful, that would be awesome. And without further ado, I bring to you my episode with Jerreau and the most epic podcast intro ever created right motherfucking now.
Attention.
If you stop this podcast recording at any time, you will die.
I don't want to die.
Do you want to live? Yeah.
You have 24 hours to share this podcast with 5 people or you will die.
I'm kidding, you won't die. You're just weak shit for not sharing.
And the winner of the best motherfucking podcast goes to
Black with No Cream.
What do you think?
It's so fucking dumb and so fucking Ben Haggerty.
I knew you would say that. All right, that's enough. Podcast started. It's officially on. Bro, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm good. I just got back from Chicago, so.
Today?
No, last night.
Woo.
Late last night, so I'm a little exhausted.
What were you doing in Chicago?
All-Star weekend.
Oh, right.
Yeah, gallivanting.
Was it cool?
It was cold.
I believe it was cold. And everyone, I saw Kanye had those trucks or whatever,
Yeah.
like rolling around the city. And I totally forgot All-Star Weekend was in Chicago. I was
Yeah.
I have to drive those.
I wish they had just picked like a warm climate.
Right.
To do all like Super Bowl, All-Star events.
I mean, it was in LA like before. I'm gonna have you talking to the mic a little bit more,
my
just so
bad.
you're good.
There we go.
They had, I think the only one I went to was in LA. And I was like, this is perfect.
Down the street.
Yeah, it's fucking layup. But that's shit. That's dope. So did you play shows or anything like that?
Nah, shaking hands, kissing babies. Yeah.
Yeah. How often are you doing stuff like that, networking like that?
It depends. Like, I mean, since, I just dropped the album, so it just made sense, to get FaceTime. And it's like one of those things where everybody's going to be there.
Right.
So, it doesn't.
Yeah, right.
If you can make it there, then go.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like being around basketball and your like success bubbling off that is like, it makes too much sense, right? Like you kind of got the key.
Yeah, I was in some rooms some good rooms.
Yeah,
I say that. Yeah.
Come on, tell us about the rooms, man.
I was in some good rooms.
It was dope.
Yeah, it was dope. It's dope. I mean, it's always good to touch a base with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even when you live in the same city, because it's like people just like seeing other people in spaces.
and not in the city you're living in.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, you out here too? You get into it, that kind of thing, you know?
Isn't that weird? But like you be in LA and no one's hitting each other up.
Right.
It's like, yo, we're here at the Super Bowl. Like I was just in Miami. Everyone was in Miami, and they're like, let's link. I'm like, why am I trying to link with you guys? We live in the same spot. Like I got way more shit to do here.
I don't know.
It's weird, but that is interesting. That's an interesting attraction, bro.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this interview because I didn't. Shout out to Serge, he set this thing up again.
Appreciate you, bro.
I was looking into you.
Yeah.
This first off, great music, bro.
Appreciate
Congratulations
it.
on your success. You've been doing this shit for a long time.
Yeah, a little bit.
I love it because as I was doing the research, I'm like popping around, I'm looking on YouTube and stuff, and I before I got into video stuff, I was doing music too, and we used to rap and do all kinds of shit in Iowa. Which shout out to your hoodie that you're wearing.
Hell yeah.
He pulled up with the Iowa sweatshirt on. I was like,
very intentional, you know.
But we were doing music, and it was crazy because when I was looking at what you guys were creating early on, Fly Union, that was your group.
Yep.
Which is no longer a group.
Nah, we imploded. The group imploded like 2014.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So looking at it, we had a group too. And so coming up doing that and trying to figure out how we're going to make videos, and how we're going to try to play shows and do all this shit. I felt like a very interesting synergy there or whatever. And then you went on to continue to be a dope at music, and I never did. I fucking figured out how to use the camera and stay behind the lens.
Yeah, you've done pretty well for yourself.
But I thought it was cool, man. I'm like, looking at some of the early videos, it was like you guys in the studio in the house, like you're from Ohio and getting your start there early on. Do you feel like, I mean, the length in this trajectory, like starting out, how do you feel compared to at the time starting something with a group? Because I think it's so interesting for people who start in a group. You weren't doing anything solo before that, right?
No, I've always been a team player per se.
Right.
Good, bad, or indifferent, you know. Like a lot of times when you're in a collective, there's always, well, not always, but in my particular case, there was a lot of noise from that, you know, from the fans, from the hecklers, like, you know, why don't you try to do your solo thing, you know? But I just appreciated, I think some of it was, you know, my lack of confidence in being a solo act, you know? Because it was very in-house, like we did everything in-house, engineering, producing, writing. Sometimes we did our own videos, so it was very like, you know, it was
DIY.
Yeah, it was a, you know, and there was some comfortability there, you know. Right. But like the solo thing, I guess was the universe telling me, you know, like I feel like sometimes if you don't make a decision, the universe will make it for you. Right. You know.
Yeah.
So
is that what happened? Like you could just,
basically.
So it all kind of it's so weird because I think like when you start, right, like you find your interest in music. I want to go back to like how you got into it, but we all start to love something. We want to be a part of something, and obviously you lean on your friends. Yeah. And so you lean on your friends. You start something right out the gate as a group, but it's like, I don't know. When you just look at rap groups specifically, you kind of can identify each person. Sometimes you see rap groups that are just it only comes as one package, and you're bummed if they're separated. But that's because they didn't identify themselves, which is weird. We always ran into that early on. I see other people go through it, so it's interesting from your perspective because you made it out. You know what I mean? Like having not made it out, like you could continue with it, but you know what I mean? Like you were able to survive as a solo after spending so much time building up the name of a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to that point, a lot of people, diehard Fly U fans still may not even, they just know the group. Right. They're like, where'd the group go? So they may not even realize, you know, some of us are still actively making music.
That's interesting.
Which is ironic in a way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like the artists that I'm into, I kind of keep up with. Right. But I also noticed that a lot of people just aren't just information seekers, you know? Like the very, you know, let it come to me. What comes to me is what I dive into, you know? They're not actually, you know, really trying to seek and find new music.
Right. And like at the time when Fly U ended in 2014, like Instagram sort of started making it make sense then. So there's so many people that aren't paying attention to the current trends of what we use for social media to distribute our information. You know what I mean? Like if you, especially you were on YouTube before, but it wasn't like subscribe to my channel as like a platform. It was just my stuff's here, and it didn't really make sense like that back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. Crazy. Now it's like very, you know, subscribe, follow. Right. And, you know, and even back then too, you know, blogs were a thing. So even if you weren't following the group on the socials, you could go to a blog and they have the new, you know, latest album, project, song, or whatnot. So Yeah.
Were you living on blogs, like actively, like kind of like seeing what else was happening and really focus on that, or trying to get placements on blogs?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely played a big role in our trajectory, for sure, because, you know, when things were bubbling, like at the time, Fly Union, it was a moment where it was like, you know, Pac Div, Dom Kennedy, Currency, Wiz, I know I'm leaving a lot of
Big Sean, Mac Miller, all these people that took over blogs.
Yeah, so it's like we were in that class, you know? And so blogs were definitely, you know, I mean, it's the playlists are the new blog, you know?
Yeah, right. No.
Yeah.
We had Z from DJ Booth. He runs DJ Booth. He was on here not too long ago, and it was cool hearing that perspective from the blog's point of view, because it's like you guys really picked a lot of fates for a lot of artists. You know what I mean? How important that is. Like, obviously your fans can do so much for you, but when you're in the beginning stages, like almost all the current artists that have been around for more than 4 years came from blogs. You know what I mean? Like, we all just banked on that. That was our resource. That was our cosign, or our radio if they weren't being played. You know, it's crazy. All right, so before we get into all the music stuff, like early on, you're from Ohio. Yeah. From Cleveland? Columbus? Yeah. Close.
Yeah, we like so Central Ohio is Columbus, Central Ohio. Right. Ohio State is in our backyard. Right. 2 hours northeast is Cleveland.
Oh, got you.
And then, so I got a lot of northeastern Ohio friends, and so a lot of people, they just assume, you know, I'm from Cleveland. Right. Yeah, it's Columbus.
People always think I'm from like fucking Idaho, not Iowa. And I feel you, so my bad.
That's all good. I'm used to explaining it.
We had Chip the Ripper on here.
Oh,
he was on here. Do you know Cal Scrooby?
I know him. I know him. I know him enough to say I know him.
I'm just thinking of Ohio people that I'm affiliated to. But yeah, Chip was on here not too long ago. Cal's a great friend of mine. He was one of my first friends out here. You guys should link. I feel like you guys would do some shit. He's come a long way too.
I've watched from afar. Like we got to chat.
But so coming up, like, what was your upbringing like? I'm interested to hear like kind of the beginning stages of it, because we all have different paths of how this clicks for us. You know what I mean? So I'm interested to see how it started for you.
Yeah, just like
what was like your family life like coming up? I think I read somewhere you got like 4 sisters.
Yeah, so it's a song on the new project, which is called "Keep Everything Yourself," and so it's called "Blended Family." So in that song, I just literally break down the family dynamic of, you know, my father and mother being married at a young age, having me and my older sister, then getting divorced, father remarrying to a woman who had 2 kids herself, right, and then they had a daughter together. You know, then my mother had 2 more daughters. So the dynamic was very, you know, interesting. Especially in retrospect, when you look back, like, damn, like, you know, that's how we made it out, you know, because there's a lot of, you know, the more people, the more variables, that you can try to control, but you can't control. So, you know, it was normal to me living in it, but, you know, when I look back, it's like, it was a lot going on.
Yeah, what did it take, like 7 verses to explain all that shit in the song?
Right, basically.
It's crazy. So then, how was it, you know? My parents are still married and shit, so I never experienced that, and I've seen some of my friends go through having families that are divorced and stuff. How connected are you to the siblings that come from the other wife, and that, like, how did your family kind of stick together? Did you guys ride it out and it felt normal, or what?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of I don't think it's no different from most families. You know, it's a lot of just. I mean, humans are just fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I know people who come from, you know, same parent household, and the kids are just like screwed. You know, I know people who, you know, didn't have a family, didn't have any stability, and, you know, they're doing good for themselves. So it's just hit or miss. You know, I think luckily for me, growing up, like I went to school, so I grew up on. We call it the South Side, but it's kind of like far east side of Columbus. And so, but I went to school and went to church on the north side. Right. So doing that allowed me to make friends and meet people outside of my neighborhood. Because the neighborhood, you know, it wasn't an affluent neighborhood, let's say. Okay. So that allowed me to stay out of, the streets or out of, shit my peers might have been doing, like I wasn't riding bikes in my neighborhood and, throwing rocks at cars and shit.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and if we did, I was doing it in another neighborhood. But I said it to say, like, that I think that just, in many ways, just kind of sheltered me in a way.
Right.
Probably even just saved me, just from falling into some neighborhood shit that I shouldn't have been into.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is it like in some of the videos, I think, damn, what video was it I was watching? I mean, I digest so much content because we just booked the shit like yesterday. There was a lot of shots of like you in a bunch of neighborhoods and it's kind of more ran down.
That's probably really got it.
Is that the east side?
So it's south side.
South side, but really the east side.
Yeah, it's like far
south of the.
It's like near east, whatever they call it. It's a word, but we just call it the south side.
But is that like your name? That's like where you're from.
So in really got it that house that I'm rapping in the yard.
Like
that's where I grew up
and stuff. Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's where I grew up at. Yeah.
That's the actual house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Bro, there's like millions of views on that shit.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I don't know. It's like it's one of them things where this is what you want. You want millions of views,
No, of course. I'm just saying, like the idea of that's where this all comes from. Like years and years of like experiences added up to you making one song that then all of a sudden millions of people are turning around and looking at your house, like seeing where it comes from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
No, it is. It is. I actually tried to buy it. It had it on like the county site for like 5 stacks.
Really?
And so I had like a contract to go look at it. And he was like, nah, it's, so you might as well just, if you buy it and tear it down. I was like, well, that defeats the point.
Yeah, right.
So, but I was back home like in October and I rode by. Somebody bought it, didn't tear it down. And I'm like, well, shit, like.
It still works?
Yeah.
People are still living in it?
Well, probably with the contractor that I had to go look at it.
Shit. He's like, yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, I just got the best deal ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Motherfucker. That's crazy. Damn, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I always love that. There's like an element, especially when you're in the creative field, it's like there's this element of attaching these memories into what you're doing now. Like something where it's like, I want people to experience what it was like for me walking around my neighborhood in the rain when I had my paper route.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or some shit like no one will ever know what that feeling is, but I think about that feeling all the time. That feeling kind of resonates and helps me create certain things, which is weird.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's cool that you can show people, you're literally showing people that maybe no one knows or they don't understand that that's your crib, but like, that's where it started. No, yeah,
literally. That's where, that's where we that's where we learn how to do chores. And,
That's crazy.
It's a song, I think it's the last album, because the address is 800 South Champion. I say, born and raised in the South Side of Columbus. That's where I learned not to die, basically.
Damn.
Like, and so it's kind of morbid, but it's like really you just learn the ins and outs of how to move.
Right.
What corners or what streets not to walk down.
Right.
But even growing up, you like a lot of neighborhood kids. I remember one time. You could tell that they knew you were about, I want to say more, but you weren't trying. You were on a different path,
Yeah.
Because there's some people who fall into shit and they just stay. This is product of their environment.
Right.
But it was like like my pops had us outside like picking up trash.
Right.
To keep the neighborhood clean.
Yeah.
So like when neighborhood kids see that.
They know you're trying to figure something out.
Yeah, it's just a little, they're not approaching me with the same like ideas that they might, another kid,
Super wild.
Yeah.
It's like it's interesting to like think of like say you're sucked into that lane. Like you can't drive out of that lane, right? There's so many people that get stuck in that shit.
Definitely.
It's interesting from that person in that driver's seat to see someone else out the window and realize that they got onto another lane.
Right.
And that they're kind of like trying to steer away from that shit, which
Definitely.
is weird. Like they try not to, I mean, there's definitely some people there's like people that want to try to suck you in, get you to be a part of it, obviously. But it's interesting that you could feel that people may have looked at you different because you were trying to do it different.
Right. And it may not have been, I mean, like I have no rhyme or reason for why, some of the decisions I've made led me to this point, you know, because it could have went another way for me, you know, and for a lot of people, you know. So it's like, you know, a lot of this, you know, it's a little luck.
Man, that's nuts. So you know, you're going over to that side of, you're staying out of your neighborhood, going to this other neighborhood. Is this where you kind of start building your rock of friends and like your people that you grew up with? And
yeah, so a lot of the guys I grew up with, we all went to the same church.
Okay.
So it was more so, you know, my parents trusted their parents. They knew them, you know, because, you know, they saw them grow up,
right,
you know.
Right.
So it was more of a, there was the trust factor there, you know. So if I said, yo, I'm going to Swift's house, you know, it was like, all right, cool, you know.
Right.
It wasn't a lot of pushback, you know.
Yeah.
So for the most part, you know, and then they lived on the north side. So when it was time to pick a school, I'm like, well, I want to go where my friends are at, you know.
Right.
So I went to school on the north side.
It sounds like your parents maybe you showed like signs of responsibility that made them see early on that they could trust you. You know what I mean? Like, is that true or no? I mean, it takes a minute for some people are just like, all right, I know that person.
I think a lot of it was just because for a long time I was hanging out with a lot of guys 6 years my senior.
Okay.
So it was that element too. It was like, you know, that's the pastor's son, the deacon's son. You can go hang out with them.
Right.
Little do they know, you know, we had college parties and shit. Like, like I got arrested with them guys.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
For the first time?
First and only.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's in high school? Or no, you were younger.
Literally, it was like my the weekend before I started ninth grade.
At a college party?
No, yeah.
Shit. How'd they react to that?
To the arresting part?
Yeah.
It was...
They were hot?
Yeah, Pops was hot. Yeah, he was hot.
It's cool. It's like, as you kind of do that, like for me, I always found myself mobbing around with like my older friends. Like one of my friends still to this day, we work on shit together. And I was at a car wash. He was at a car wash, but he played baseball in college. And I just felt like a connection to him because it felt like he was much more grown than the friends I was around at the time to an extent. And there's something where it's like you're already learning from people who've already lived 6 more years than you. You know what I mean? And you can kind of pull from that shit. That's why we look up to authors and things like that. Yeah,
it's a real thing, you know, because I mean, I can't say I was more mature than the average kid my age, but just being around, you know, it was like having multiple big brothers in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, so I get to see the dumb shit they were doing, and decide if I wanted to do it or not.
Right.
You know. But then they also would check me, you know, when I did dumb shit.
Right.
So it was like that, you know, a healthy balance.
Yeah, that's dope. Who put you on to music? Like when did music and creativity like start to?
So like my brother, my stepbrother, he kind of, because he started rhyming before I did. And
really?
So and so it was kind of like, oh, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
You know, so we used to just do talent shows at church and whatnot. And that's really how we started. That's what started my journey. You know, in the music.
So what? It would be like you both rapping, or was it just like he had his like performance, you'd have a performance?
No, we were like duo.
Group it?
So to the point of being in a group, like I've been in a group all my life.
Right, exactly,
you know?
from the start.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what would you guys do? Like how would you guys try to run like a Sunday church session? Like, you know, like how, what just break it down for me. Like when you first start, was it like?
No, I was more so like talent shows or like
it wasn't just rapping, it was like doing acting or doing like what kind of talent shows?
So for example, like at the church, if there were like, they would have like host these, for lack of a better term, like talent nights or whatnot.
Right.
So some people would do poetry or dance and we would get up there and rap.
Right.
Yeah.
So you literally just stand up and rap to, was there a beat, or you just?
Yeah, we just pick an instrumental and
just start freestyling
and rap. You know, and it was horrible. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, when you got kids talking about Jesus, you know, people went,
they're like,
like, you can't do no wrong.
Right.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
like, that's like when you do stuff like when you do merch, with your state on it, and when you talk about God, those are the two like proof, like fail-proof plans.
Right. Yeah. Safe route.
Yeah.
Is it was there something like a reaction that you felt that kind of made it click for you? Like getting up, performing in front of whoever, there's something there always, right? Like,
yeah. I don't know if it was like, yo, I get a rush from doing it. It just felt like this is what I do.
Right.
You know? Like just for a long time, especially like I was talking to my homie and I was saying how like it's crazy because up until probably like high school was the first time I ever was self-conscious about making music.
Really?
Yeah, because before that it was, oh, this is amazing, it's amazing, it's dope, because it was, gospel rap, Christian rap,
Right.
whatever. But then when you get to high school, it's like, it was a different crowd, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
wasn't nobody listening to quote unquote gospel rap,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean? So it was like, and I didn't cuss at the time, so it's like the content of my music was just different,
Right.
But I just remember being in ciphers and the reaction wasn't the same, and it wasn't because I couldn't rap, but it was just the content just didn't resonate.
Yeah, people are trying probably
Yeah.
diss him more, and it's
Yeah.
more negative shit that you want to bring up in a freestyle or whatever to just
Yeah.
kind of clown on somebody. Who else was Shaq? Did Shaq have like he didn't cuss? Didn't he?
Yeah, it was a lot of he didn't cuss.
Yeah.
Who else? It was a lot of people that didn't.
Yeah, and but it was rare. It felt like more rare. I guess maybe, I didn't, like, I was in church and stuff, but I wasn't paying attention too much to it, so it wasn't like that's what I was seeking out. But I feel like every once in a while you hear about these people that would there was a whole lane of it,
Yep.
and it was more positive rap, like,
Right.
which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Positive rap or sharing stories about trials and tribulations and breaking through it, but it had a lead of positivity to
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I could imagine you get to a high school and everyone
Yeah.
gets grouped together from different parts of the neighborhood and shit, and then everyone gets into it. You kind of find yourself
Right.
like,
And and at some point it became like a shtick, like I know nobody else is doing it, so that's why I'm doing it. Not necessarily because I believed in it. You
Right.
know? And I see a lot of people falling into that trap too. Like it's different in, that attention that you get. Oh, well, it's different. Like, we don't usually hear that. We don't get that, blah, blah, blah. Keep going.
Right.
But it wasn't like, it was like, okay, I'm doing this because I believe in it,
Right.
So eventually, I found myself. Yeah.
What, changing? Like, do you feel like you kind of started to kind of change the way you were making music, or
Yeah,
being involved in music?
definitely, because I started, like, my lifestyle started to change. You know,
Right.
like, after you take a step back and you just start to analyze, like, okay, what are people really saying? Like, like why are you so concerned about explicitives in music when, like, literally the stars, the national anthem is talking about owning slaves? It just sounds poetic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's so much literature, people saying some fucked up shit, but it just sounds, like scholarly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
if you leave a certain set of words out, you can make it.
Yeah, but if I say fuck, shit, ass, bitch, like, people, oh my god,
Yeah, right, right.
Like, what are we really talking about?
Yeah, that's interesting. And most of, obviously mainstream, like, you have no cussing on TV. They won't let that shit happen.
Right.
You can't cuss on the radio, so everything's a clean song online or on a radio, or it's bleeped out, but it's in a way it disguises it, so parents can't be upset that their kids are hearing some. Obviously that says fuck, but they switched it to wit or whatever, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's interesting. So then, as you're in high school, like, are you, and for music, for that case, are you and your brother, like, kind of starting to take it more serious? Like, are you on the internet and focusing on other people that are doing similar shit, or?
It just kind of just took legs of its own, because you got your jocks, people that play sports, and then you have the subgroup of, like, kids in high school, and then you had us who rap. You know what I mean? So we were just known as the rappers.
Yeah.
So it's like, high school game, football games, we there at halftime, kicking rapping and shit.
Yeah, right.
So that's what we became known for.
Yeah.
So it was like, all right, well, then that's us,
Right.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever throw parties and shit? You guys try to throw parties during high school to, like, try to host shows or do anything like that?
I mean, we were doing shows.
You were doing shows?
Yeah, we just weren't throwing them ourselves.
So what did you play at, like, a venue?
Yeah, it'd be like venues that we weren't old enough to get into.
Right.
you know, like, so, the homies would have to, convince
Please.
whoever, you know.
Right.
So it was a lot of those, you know.
Right. So
Yeah.
at this time, at what point do you form the group?
So it kind of just evolved. Like, at that moment, there was a group too. It just became a thing because it's multiple, homies.
Right.
And we all are into music, and so those things where you just look up and be like, oh shit, it's a group. It was like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
was your brother a part of the group?
Yep.
Wow. So it's you, your brother, and so when I was reading on it, it's like there's two Two producers and a rapper,
so it
but
evolved.
it sets up like that?
It's like the beginning, the first group, it was like on some Wu-Tang shit. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like,
yeah, everyone's trading off.
it's like 7 of it, you know, and then eventually it led to 3 of us in Fly Union.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
word. So the Wu-Tang version of Fly Union existed before Fly Union existed.
Right, exactly.
Okay, right. So how long was that? Like you guys were doing that?
A few years, you know what I mean? Then, you know how relationships go. It's like, you know, life happens and people fall off and, you know, and go in their own direction or... So yeah.
So who are the official members that make it out of the 7? Who made it on the final round?
Myself, Jerreau, Swift, and Eyeball.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Is your brother's name Swift?
No.
So your brother's not part of it?
No, not the 3
thing. Okay, got it.
That the world knows.
Did he still do music, or was he just kind of like?
Yeah. He did.
Really?
He did.
Does he still do music?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you're doing these shows and people, does it become something like at the high school where you're like bopping around trying to promote the shows and get everyone to pull up and like flyer in the school and
sorta? So I mean, there was some shows where it could, you know, it was for. It's parties in high school too.
Right.
So, you know, we performed at some of those. You know, we would go to other schools and do their like multicultural events. You know, but for the most part, a lot of the performances was showcases, venues that, you know, our peers couldn't get into anyway.
Yeah, sure. So then, as you guys form the group, this becomes kind of, it's more center focused on like a career almost. Like you guys are starting to take it more serious. Like, yo, okay, there's other groups that are doing this shit, and like we kind of had the sauce, and let's run it like this. Is that how you guys started it, with that mentality, or was it the same thing? You just looked up and you had a group.
Same, because I don't think it ever dawned on me to say like, yo, you know, I could make some money doing this. You know, It was just more so like I've been doing it for so long. Like, it's just what I do. Right. You know, so I'm seeing it through. Right. That kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was some of like the first highlights where you guys started seeing like true growth with it? Like,
I mean, the blog era, really. You know, because at that point, you're seeing groups or artists that you listen to, and you're on the same, you know, page as them. Right. You know, so it's like, at that point, then we started to connect with, you know, like-minded groups or individuals who, you know, from other cities who are doing the same thing. You know, Cool Kids, for example. You know, like
that'd been so dope.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, just at that point, then I think that's when it started to like, oh, okay,
right. So what were you guys put? Like, what would get put on the blogs? Was it just like an MP3 and like?
Yeah, so we did a lot of projects, so it wasn't too much like loose songs. Right. So it was usually like, you know, a mixtape, then we did an album, and then Fly Union would do like these, we call them value packs. So we'd do like 3 to 4 songs a month and put it out. Oh, that's dope. And so each of them would have like a feature artist. Like the first one we had Big Sean. Right. Then we had like Willie the Kid. Then we had Dom Kennedy. Then we had who else? I know something.
I saw there's mad people.
Yeah. So that is really when people started to say, oh, okay. Because for a minute, like a lot of people thought we were from LA or the West Coast. Really? Yeah, because of
the style.
Maybe that, but the connection with like Dom, you know, and it's funny too because I always tell people the irony of it is that a lot of, you know, West Coast artists were sampling Ohio, Chicago artists. So people were attributing this like Midwest sound to West Coast artists. Right. You know, and that was the irony of it. It's like,
that's funny.
Yeah, it's just kind of trippy a little. Like, you know, y'all sound like y'all from LA, and it's like, well, they actually sample in our shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So what like how, okay, so you get Big Sean's like the first artist feature that you guys did. How did you secure that? I mean, at this time, it's probably he's just starting to bubble up.
Yeah. So like, the way it worked, back to my Cleveland friends. So you know, this is before Brian left the first time. Okay. And so like, everybody came to Cleveland. Like if you know, they would come to see Bron play.
Right.
And so we would often get, the who's coming to Cleveland, and my homies up there, they were, they had a foot on nightlife. So when they came to the city, it's like, yo, this what you do, this where you go. We got this party,
Right.
come here.
Yeah.
You wanna go to the game? Let's go to the game. Oh, by the way, Fly Union, they dope and they make beats, so let's get in the studio.
Yeah,
so it was
right.
like, shout out to Ducky Smalls on that one.
Damn, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
sick. So they were kind of just running the city as far as like events and like what was going on or whatever. So what they would just, in that case, Big Sean, you guys really did a studio session, or was it something where you wrote a verse for it later?
Yeah, studio session. Like
Damn, that's
we had,
crazy.
We had Sean in a session, Currency in a session. We had one with Wale. It just didn't. Nothing came out of that
Right.
one.
He's from Ohio, isn't he?
No, he's from Baltimore.
Is it Baltimore?
Yeah,
Why did I think that?
DMV area.
Oh yeah, maybe
Yeah,
DC
yeah, yeah.
or something. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So this is all through the homie. This is all through the homie that's booking these
Indirectly.
events.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I can only. Yes. I mean, I would be naive to think that they never heard of us, but who knows?
Right.
Maybe
at
they
this point you
didn't.
hit the blogs and everything started.
Yeah, you just
crush.
never know.
Yeah.
So maybe they never heard who Fly You was or what we did or if we were any good or not. But a rapport was built through the homie.
You're right. And
Yeah.
so at the time when these songs are getting on blogs and the projects are kind of popping off, are you seeing it like a wildfire where the project's getting, if one blog shares it, you know that all these other blogs are gonna go crazy for it too? Like, were you seeing it happen like that, or would it just be like one blog, share it out, show some
Yeah.
love, and you're like, all right, that's cool, and then next time you do it, maybe two blogs kind of pick it up?
Yeah.
Was it like that?
Hit or miss. I mean, because I don't know if there was any rhyme or reason to why blogs picked up what. I mean, of course, features definitely help.
Yeah.
People are Sean is on this.
Right.
Dom is on this.
Right.
Or whoever the artist is. So that definitely helped. But there'd be times where a blog, said blog would pick it up and the other one wouldn't.
Right.
So then it was like, well, what?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what's this?
That's interesting.
Yeah, who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
What, that's Z again? Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
It is interesting though. Like if you really see it, like for me being in the Midwest, it's like we're not in LA, we're not in a
Right.
major city. Like we have literally no ties to culture of what the fuck's going on out here.
Right.
So I just would live and breathe the blogs. I'd be on Ill Roots. I'd be on every
Yeah.
platform you could ever think of, just trying to devour a new man, what's this artist? All right, why did they pick them up? What do they like about them? Like, what's cool about this?
Yeah.
How do they get in touch with them? Like, there's so many questions.
Yeah.
And that was like our game. That was all we could do making music, was like, how do we get on that shit? Like, and you try a million emails and do all that stuff, outreach, whatever. But you see people get picked up, and it's crazy to see what it does as far as directed traffic and awareness to the artists. But yeah, having a Big Sean in the bag and you put that on there, automatically cosigns you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I mean, and the music was good.
And the
So
music
it's
was
like, the music's good, and then you have a cosign or a stamp.
Right.
So it's like, okay, maybe we should be paying more attention to to what's going on in Ohio.
So would it be like for Sean, I'm just saying this because you're your first one, but when Sean's pulling up, you guys get in the studio, you knock out a song.
Yeah.
Was it something where you guys tried to lock in a video with him afterwards, or was it
We circled back. Just because he was in Detroit, so it was like a quick 3-hour drive.
Right.
It wasn't. We just circled back, and because all of them it just didn't work that way, like
Right.
to where we can get
Yeah.
a visual. And it was more so important for us to just get his verse.
Right. Yeah.
Let's get his verse,
absolutely.
and then we'll figure out the rest of the song.
Right,
It was like
exactly.
that kind of thing.
Yeah. Damn. Was that exciting for you when you guys started locking in artist after artist, and you guys have been looking up to these people for, I'm imagining, years?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the time, it was, how do I put it? Like, yes, because, like, they're gifted in their own right. They have eyes on them, and that, it's an opportunity to get your sound, on a different platform.
Yeah.
At the time, Sean was finally famous. He had the not Sean, but what's the guy's name? He does, the guy. He's from Chicago.
Chance?
No, way before Chance.
Yeah, who was
Kanye?
Oh yeah, Kanye. I was like, who? Yeah, I
the
forgot.
guy.
Yeah, Kanye co-signing him.
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
bubble-
So
I mean,
it's
he was popping.
Yeah. So it's like, that's one step closer to Ye.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know?
Yeah. You know for sure people, and if he's doing something, and at the time, I mean, now it's like artists be doing features on people's shit. And it's like it happens so quick you don't even see it anymore, and blogs aren't really doing it. But yeah, at the time, it's like you get the notoriety from fans. Obviously, that's one thing which is important. But to have people in those artists' inner circle potentially tune in, you know what I mean? You never know what that's gonna do for you.
Yeah.
But that's crazy to mention. Like, obviously, you know, the LeBron thing is crazy, but it's funny that even at that time, because you didn't know him then, obviously.
I did.
You did know him at the time.
Yeah.
So when he was playing for the team, you already knew him?
Yeah. Well, I met Bron, was it fall of 09.
Okay.
Yeah. But we didn't have that rapport until years later. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew each other. Like I met him then, you know, hi bye when we see each other.
Sure.
But the guys that I was hanging with were closer to
Knew
him.
him. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like, you know, I was like, you know, 1 degree of separation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And he's probably dipping in that same circle just for the same experience of fun and like putting his people
like they were
together.
handling all of his events. And
That's
parties.
crazy, right?
Yeah, so it was like
you were tapped in.
Yeah.
Because the strength of that relationship with him goes a long way, obviously, in your career, which is interesting. But that's crazy for him to just be on that team and to bring so much to the city.
Definitely, yeah.
That in turn turns to opportunity for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things where, you know, like back to what I was saying, like, you know, it's a little luck. You know, like, you know, it just so happened that a guy reached out to us who, you know, is one of his good friends, you know what I mean, and wants to manage us.
Really?
Yeah. So that was the Ducky Small. So that's what I was referring to when we would go up to Cleveland. You know, he would you know, be our host for this, you know what I mean, in the city, and he introduced us to that whole scene, and it was very in a lot of ways affirming, you know, because I think sometimes when you come from a place and people see you all the time, it's kind of like they're just used to you. Oh, that's just Jerreau. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like no matter how talented you are, how, you know, how far your voice is traveling across the world, like, oh, this, you know, it's just Jerreau.
Right.
But going up to Cleveland, it was like, yo, it's this new group, you know what I mean? We don't know nothing about them, but they hard, you know, and it kind of became like our second home.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. Like, I mean, fuck, imagine if I was if you had to drive 10 hours to get to that spot, and then, you know, you probably wouldn't go.
Exactly. You know, so I would just go up anytime I got a chance to, I would just hit Cleveland, because for me, I'm just always been a fan of, hence why I went to Chicago. It's like showing up is half the battle.
Yeah.
You know, like being there is half the battle. And if you're a likable person, and if you got something that they want,
right, it's
like, you know, plays are going to be made, you know?
Absolutely. So would you guys be doing a lot of shows there too, like around those?
Yeah, relatively, whenever it made sense. But for the most part, it was just a lot of kicking it.
Just networking.
Yeah, like, you know, just building friendships, building relationships. And, you know, a lot of those guys, you know, they still my guys to this day.
Right, that's crazy. So then with you in the group, you guys, I know you toured too, right?
Yeah.
So you toured and did all that.
Yeah.
But before that, was it just, what was your main focus? Like, how often would you say you guys were in the studio compared to networking, compared to playing shows? Like, was it like a fine mix?
See, I've never been a studio rat.
Right.
So like my approach to creating is a little unorthodox compared to the other two members at the time.
Right.
And so, you know, I think they definitely spent more time in the studio than I did.
Yeah.
And so I'm more of I got to live to create. And so, you know, I might be out partying.
But it's
you know
gonna
what I'm saying?
We'll write about that on Monday.
Yeah, you know, I might travel. You know what I'm saying? I might be up in Cleveland, and it might look like I'm wasting time, but I'm working.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, so I've never been a studio rat, and I just don't like feeling like I'm in a dungeon. Like, like I like the windows and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like to look outside. Like that inspires me. You know, like just looking at walls.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, no offense, but you know what I mean.
We
like,
gotta darken it out for the lighting. We can open the window after this shit. You'll see the sun.
Yeah, but like, yeah. So, so the process was more so like, you know, I just always been more of a like create and then go to the studio.
Right.
You know, so when I get there, I know what I'm going to say, how I want to say it, and I'm not wasting hours in the studio.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the system worked for you and the group, or was there ever like an issue with...
I'm sure it didn't.
Right.
You know, because the styles are just so different.
Right.
You know, like and that's what I mean. Like everybody in the group was very talented. Like Eyeball, he's one of those guys who, you know, could build an engine with his hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
right.
he'd engineer everything. You know, he's an incredible like rapper in its own right. He was just more of an introvert. You know, it would come out like, you know, the fun, playful side, but it's like, you know, he definitely was more of a like, okay, kind of standoffish a little, especially if he didn't know you.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
The other homie Swift, he, you know, social, outgoing, but he's the kind of guy that like, if you're in a spot, like if y'all come here together, you'll look up and like, where'd Swift go? You know what I'm saying?
Mobbing around.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, dog, like that shit dangerous. Like, if something go down, like ain't nobody there with you, you know?
Right.
He was just one of them like wild cards, you know what I'm saying? And then I was just more of a outgoing, social, but also introvert to the point where, you know, I just wouldn't let anybody in this crew.
Right.
But enough to vet and to see, okay, is it safe? You know what I mean? So it was just I think I was the middle ground for like us three.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's
and so it became like, I guess for lack of better terms, like a safer place for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like when they came to meet us, it was like, okay, it's like you might be easier to get through.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? To talk to or to funnel or to you'll be all can do it. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Because it's also like you're setting yourself up for positioning yourself in a way to like build the relationships in a way that everyone's comfortable with it. Like some people don't like fucking doing that.
No, exactly. Yeah. And so, you know, sometimes it's like I would, like, you know, it's some artists who don't got to do none of that shit.
Right.
You know, like they don't got to go out and make people like them. They can just release their music and fall back, you know?
Right. I feel like that's Lil Yachty. I feel like Lil Yachty never leaves his house. I swear to God, I just see him play video games all the time. I'm like, that dude is just, he did it right with a couple songs and just chilling.
But he seems like, he seems like he's not like afraid to interact though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
But like, for example, like Frank, for example, like, like
what?
You know what I mean? Like he's aloof.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for a long time, like, what's his name? The Weeknd was like that until he started showing his face.
Yeah, right.
J. Cole, you know, like I think over the last couple of years, you might see him pop up in different places more, but for the most part, he don't gotta do shit, but you know, send the music. You know what I mean?
Do you think that like with Cole, for instance, it's like he has such like a solid push into that mainstream where I don't know what his life was like during that time. I guess I listened to the music, but we weren't on Instagram. We didn't see that he didn't post shit, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Exactly.
Like I wonder if at that time, if he was doing all the things that he had to do at the time because of the stature of his songs and like, you know what I mean? It's interesting to think that, but
I'm sure, because who was I listening to?
You do the work, you don't have to go out no more.
Yeah, but on the flip side, like Drake is one of those guys who does.
Right.
You know, so it's like
it's his DNA probably. It's like certain people have it in them. And like Kendrick never, Kendrick's always hiding. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what he's doing, but he lives in the studio and he's working on whatever.
And I'm sure he's in the field. It's just it's not as like, you know, broadcasted as like some of the other guys, and because some people really want that, right? You know, But like Drake is another guy who he doesn't have to do that if he doesn't want to.
You're right.
You know,
it's interesting.
But he does, and I'm sure, you know, because he likes it.
Yeah,
you know,
the energy of it. Yeah. I know you toured with all the TDE dudes. I did all the Blank Face tour with Q. And,
I read that. Yeah.
But he's the same way too. Like when we're back here, he loves his fucking house, and he's just in there all the time. And he'll go to the studio and sit in the studio and stuff. But it's like rare. He's like, I used to go do all that shit, but I'm older now. It's like, obviously it comes with age too. It's like,
definitely.
You kind of feel more adult and like, like, I don't need to fucking go do some nightclub shit if I don't have to. You know what I mean? You can avoid it. So when you were going out, like, you know, meeting like if you're in LeBron's circle,
Right.
to an extent, obviously that adds value to your name in the space, and like you're being put on by the dude who's his friend who's managing you. Did you guys end up, you're managed by him then? Were you at the time?
By
Ducky?
Yeah.
So he ends up managing y'all.
Yep.
Does he still manage you?
No,
Okay,
not
so
today.
that was just then.
Yeah.
So,
That's still my guy though. That's my brother.
So
yeah.
was he's kind of putting you guys in all these situations. Like, what were some of the situations you remember being in that were? I mean, the city's small from where you're from, but still, it's like this is like major. You know what I mean? Like to be in those situations is major. And
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I forget a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why, but it's one of them things where it's like, okay, just imagine. Like, I couldn't imagine like growing up being an artist, and one of like Michael Jordan's homies is like, yo, mind you, at the time, you know, I didn't even realize how close, you know, he was to, you know, to that connection was.
Right.
But it's like, yo, you know, I want to manage y'all. Y'all should come to Chicago, and let's just, you know, let's figure it out. So you go to Chicago, you know, and he takes you around, you know, shows you, you know, what's behind the curtains. And
some
then,
penthouses. And
yeah,
some
you know what I mean? And then
bottle service or something.
then come to find out, you know, then you meet Mike, and he's like, you know, he has a exhibition game, and you go to a pop-up, and he's there. He's like, yo, what's good, kid? You know, I fuck with your music.
That'd be the weirdest.
Yeah, so it was like that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like, you know, the greatest basketball player in the world at the time, who's, you know, at the highest level of his craft, is telling you, you know, you're good at what you do. Wow. You know?
That's the illest fire under your ass, bro. Like,
it's, you know, like, I don't, like most people who do like anything, I mean, everybody does something, but anybody who does anything, you know, you want acknowledgement, you want people to respect like what you do, especially if it's quality, you know. And you know, people know when, you know, when they're giving their best, or when they're giving their all, when they're really trying. So it was like affirmation in a sense. But I always tell people all the time, I said, look, man, it don't matter who's co-signing your work if your work can't live on its own. You know, so as much as, you know, it's dope, you know, to have somebody that you respect, and you know they're doing what they do at a high level, is acknowledging you, like the art still has to be good.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, thanks.
And then I would tell people all the time too, like it's a little different when you have like a guy who's in sports, like, because before, like, he's kind of involved into this cultural, like,
stamp approval
guy,
yeah.
But at the time, it's like it's different when you have somebody in sports telling people, "Yo, go listen to this music," because you're gonna have a lot of sports fans checking it out. Versus like if Jay-Z does it at the time,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
of course.
People respect him for his acumen in music, you know. So it's like it's a interesting dynamic when you look at it that way. You know?
No, that makes sense. I think that's probably the same for like Cole.
Yeah,
having done what he did, and then to be able to get Roc Nation to, you know what I mean? I see it. I understand that. That's interesting. You never think about it that way.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people do. Because it's like, especially if you're in and of sports, then it's like, it's a natural, like, oh, okay, I get it.
Right.
But there's a lot of people who don't follow sports.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They could care less who, you know, so-and-so is, but they definitely know who LeBron James is. Even if they're not like following his, you know, his career or his everyday moves,
right?
You know,
and he may. I mean, you never know like what kind of power just, because it's like, it's funny, bro. If you look at this shit, it's like being around all you guys, all you rappers. It's like when you're around rappers or any artist, they all want to be. They love athletes, and the athletes love being like artists. Like LeBron said, "Papa" in the video. It's like, we all want to do that shit. Like everyone wants to be something that they're not, and it's funny because you're like, man, that'd be sick to be the dude that shot that game-winning shot. Like to feel that energy, to be the person on the court. I'll never be able to do that. I didn't earn that. I can't do it. I'm not built for it. But like you've always admired that, and it's crazy to see like for someone like LeBron. Obviously now he's taking advantage of like his obviously his career is one thing, and then his interests are another, and people trust his interests. Like you see him start to have sway on people. Like how there's no reason LeBron couldn't convince or point out someone like you to the world, you know, and now have this influence to other people outside of the sports fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely evolved, especially I think with social media, because it gives people like a little more insight into like your world, you know, like what you do on a day-to-day basis versus, you know, just seeing somebody on a TV screen and not like literally you could at someone and they might respond. You know, like that was never a thing growing up. You know what I mean? Like we never had that luxury. Like, yo, he might actually respond to me. You know what I mean? So I think that it kind of dehumanizes people a little bit, or makes them more human, I should say. Like in a sense, it's like they're a little more accessible, but also you might be paying attention a little more to the off the court dealings. Like what do you do when you go home? You know what I mean? Versus like, because I never seen like you never seen Michael Jordan like outside of him pulling up to the arena and his you know his sports car, you know what I mean, and then playing hoops, and then that was it. Yeah, you know.
What what's the movie that he was in?
Space Jam.
Space Jam. Yeah. Damn, I was like, or in Space Jam, like yeah. But other than that, it was it.
Yeah, like I never even thought about like I wonder what does Jordan like to drink? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what does he? I mean, I'm sure somebody was thinking about it, but I never thought about that. It was just more so like, yo, he's showing up the ball to play.
Yeah, you know exactly. I mean? Yeah, it's crazy how social media has allowed people to show other elements of their life, and some people that choose just not to go there. You want more water?
Yes, please.
They like me thinking about the other day is like Leonardo DiCaprio, bro. Like, every time you watch this film, obviously we're at a different state in life, but like I just watched the Hollywood film that he was in. It's like, after you get on the internet, obviously, you're like, is this dude been posting on Instagram? You go and he has an Instagram account. It's like dedicated to his nonprofit. It's not even him. You know for sure he's not even running it. Okay. But it's crazy how you never hear about him. Like, he's one of the biggest actors in the world. Yeah. And you never hear, like, where The Rock, it makes sure that you always know what he's doing.
You see him.
You know what I mean? It's incredible, and it's interesting to see.
You can't miss him either.
You can't miss him. But like Leo, found a way to what coffee shops does he go to? Like, what, you know, what bars does he go out at night? Like, who knows?
Ironically, it's funny because like one night I'm out.
You're gonna be like, I saw him.
So I'm out. Should I even tell this story? Well, I mean, it's not like a crazy story, but so I'm out with the guys, and we're in a section, and you know, and Dave Chappelle walk up. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I've met him before, but you know, probably, you know how it is. A lot of people. You keep meeting.
Yeah, of course.
We're probably like on our 10th meet.
Right.
and then this guy walks up with this like low brim hat, and then it's like, yo, you know, he wants to meet you. You know, just whispers. You know what I'm saying? I look up, I said, oh, it's DiCaprio. Yeah.
He wanted to meet you?
No, not me. The guys.
The people. Right. Yeah. I'll be like, wait, what? I'll be like, yeah, what's up? And then he daps up someone behind you.
Nah, it wasn't to me. It was,
that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, you know, he's out here. He's got to be out here. What else the fuck do you sit in your big ass house and just be bored or whatever? It's funny, man. You know, people like, but you don't realize it. And when you think about like connections, and I'm interested on your take on this, like social media, like you just said, you could now message someone and they may answer. Like, there's that hope. Before it would have been like what, like hit an agent or manager, try to find their email,
or writing a letter and mailing it and shit.
And you fingers crossed, or you just go there and sit outside and wait for Jordan to walk outside. How do you feel like that affects people's hope? Like for an artist, like what's your advice to people? Because yes, you can send a DM. Yes, people may answer, but reality is like, you know, what's the regular amount of DMs people are answering when they're superstar status? What up, creators? I want to remind you about our community at jointhehomies.com. The homies are the squad of legends who support what we do here at Black Window Cream so we can continue to build this platform into the best educational space for content creators on earth. And in return for that support, we give you a bunch of sick perks all month long, like access to our live stream tutorials and hangouts, bonus podcast episodes, and so much more. Check us out at jointhehomies.com. Let's go.
It's like, really, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Like kind of like, I take it, I liken it to the blog era, you know? So at one point, you know, it was radio, then TV, you know, then the blogs or the internet, and then now it's playlists.
Right.
You know, so it's like there's still gatekeepers for each of those entities.
Yeah.
You know, so it sounds like, yo, you know, I have a better shot, you know. All I gotta do is, you know, put my songs on a streaming platform and that might be my chance. But it's like there's still somebody curating that list.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
labels really own a percentage in these streaming platforms. So, you know, they want to recoup their money.
Right.
You know, so they're definitely, you know, want their artists at the top of those playlists.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
You know, I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge of that, but, you know, I think I can presume.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a reason why we have two that we like to go to primarily, you know what I mean? Because they structured it that way. So
to answer your question, you know, it's like, yes, I think in theory, celebrity are more accessible, but it's still a shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right, yeah. Just as it always was.
Yeah.
Is it, I've seen people get upset, like if you don't answer, right? Like if you just haven't answered. I am a random weirdo where I literally respond to everybody. That's why I started this, because there were so many creators hitting me up all the time for like advice and shit. And I just, being in Iowa, I hated not getting answered, bro. Like that was like the hardest thing, was trying to figure out how to crack the code, and no one would give it to me. So that's why I started this shit. But I always see people get frustrated, and it sucks, because it's like you want to help, but there's just literally sometimes not enough time in the day, or it doesn't make sense, or they didn't provide enough insight. So if you were giving one tip to someone that was reaching out to you or any artist, what would your best piece of advice, like how to, if they're gonna say something, you're gonna read it. Yeah. What should they say?
Never say, for me at least, never say you're probably never going to read this, or you're probably never going to respond.
Right.
Because automatically, I'm like, well, shit. Like, well, what did you send it for?
Right. You have no hope. You literally have
you know
no
what
hope.
I mean? But also, like, I don't know, like, because really, it's just a lot of this shit just goes off of like if you're in the mood,
right?
You know, like, because it's impossible to respond to everybody, and I'm trying to find a healthy balance of like acknowledging people, but also, you know, like I don't want a timeline full of like.
You reposting cool things
like
and shit.
Other people might like it, but aesthetically it's just not appeasing to me. Right. You know, so it's like I'm trying to find that balance of like, okay, what do I want, you know, what do I want my page or my timeline to look like versus responding to people and letting them know like, yo, you know, engagement and all that shit.
Right.
I don't know what the advice is, man. I really don't. You know, a lot of this shit is like courting like somebody that you like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're into women and you see a woman, you know, like how would you go about courting them?
Right.
You know, like at some point, I mean, women don't like, you know, people, they don't like to be annoyed. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, right.
It's like you gotta.
Hey, you probably won't talk back to me, but
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, would you ever? I would never walk up to a woman and say that.
Right.
You know. But here we are. You know?
You gotta make it obvious, I think, and have confidence in it. But all right, so touring, you guys toured as a group.
Yep.
And that was with TDE. You were Q, Kendrick. Who else was on?
Q, Kendrick, Stally, Soul, and us.
Right.
Fly Union.
So is that your first tour?
Nationwide tour. Yeah. So we would do like a lot of spot dates or like small city runs, but that was a 30 city tour, 32 nights, 40 days.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's different than a couple of spot dates and shit.
Oh, nah, it's different. Different.
How was it? What was the experience like?
Oh, we had fun.
Yeah,
we had fun, but we literally drove ourselves around the country. Yeah.
No bus?
Nah. They had, so like some nights, because we would open the show, so we'd get off stage and we couldn't stay to watch the rest of the show some nights because we had to
get to the next city.
Yeah. You know, if like for them, they're on a bus, you know, you just
sleep and wake up.
Yeah, feet up, you know, eating, drinking, you know, playing video games. But it's like, you know, we might have to rotate this the driver, you know.
How'd you guys secure the tour? Like how'd you guys go about it at the time to do that?
We were just able to build relationships, man, and sustain them. Like Dave Free, shout out to him. At the time, he appreciated our sound, you know. He was fighting for us to get on the tour. I'm trying to remember how we met Dave Free. I remember now. My homie Rodney, who's a part of my management team now, like he was at Michigan State, and he ran the was was one of those programs. I can't think of the name of it. It's like a student body. Something.
Like
He put on shows,
Right,
put on
right.
concerts and whatnot. So he would bring artists in, and he booked Kendrick,
Right.
and Schoolboy.
Yeah.
And so we were in Detroit too. Well, not Detroit, but East Lansing. Was it at? Is it East Lansing? Michigan State. What? Ann Arbor. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Hold
Ann
on.
Arbor.
I'm getting
Ann Arbor.
confused.
No, I don't know which one the college is, but it's probably one of those two where people would want to have a show.
Yeah, don't. I mean, I'm from Ohio, but I know I'm getting confused. I think Ann Arbor is Michigan, and East Lansing is Michigan State. But fact
They're
check
saying
that.
yes. They're all saying yes.
All right, fact check it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we went up there, for the show, and then that's how we met. And so ever since then, we're Free and
right.
Kendrick and School. And so ever since then, I just had a rapport with Dave Free.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when I see Kendrick, when I see School, like, it's love, but
He's the
I
one you
always
wanna
went
know.
in a Dave Free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like always, like it'd be some random shit.
Right. I
Yeah.
know. It always is. It
Yeah.
always pops up. I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? So you guys do the tour. What would be your strategy for the opening slot? Because usually opening slots are like the shittiest position. You get no time
Yeah.
on stage, no love, the sound's never at 100.
Yeah.
So what would you guys do when you just do your thing?
I mean, careers are made in the live show, and I think that's probably the most unfortunate thing about today's climate is because there's no artist development.
Right.
Like, just growing up, like we just, haven't been around those kids older than me. They always, like, honed in, pushed on the live show.
Right.
So just that was always ingrained in me. So it was more so I put on a show.
Of course.
Put on a show. Nobody in the crowd might not know any words, but you have to engage them. You know what I mean? You gotta do some crowd participation. So by the time you get off stage, they're like, "Oh, the shit, that
was dope."
Yeah, that was dope.
Right.
Or I enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Like the beats, were great. Sound like they saying something.
Right.
The energy was up. I might, go check them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's the best. I feel like it sucks so much when you see people boom right now from some Instagram song goes viral or whatever, and they just get up on stage and rap over, try to compete with their own voice on the song.
Yeah, but it's not. I cut them a lot of slack because to that point, like it's just a lot of people who you put out a song today and tomorrow you on stage,
right?
And you've never been on stage before,
yeah.
So it's like, I mean,
yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, it's like
very true.
I put it on definitely a lot of people's like camps and crews. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like at some point, somebody has to be like, all right, if we want to take this to the next level, we gotta
Develop.
perfect this or get this right. But at the same time, I got this line where I be like, try till the nigga making money, he ain't doing something right. Like, like how many times have you told someone like, well, what if you did like this? And they ain't trying to hear it because they're successful doing it the way they've been doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like big picture. It's like, yes, you're doing good, but imagine if you tweak this or tighten this up.
Yeah.
What you could do.
Right. Like living and watching Kendrick blow up. It's like you see all the shows, you see those tours, you're watching the vlogs, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I think one time he played Made in America, and I was streaming it or something, like watching the show, and he had the full band, and I can't remember what song he played, but I remember just losing my damn mind because of the way he brought it to life with the full band and the way he moved with the band and he had it dialed. It's like they think about the performance, and that shit resonated with me on a fucking tiny ass iPad or whatever I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just watching it like so in tune. Whereas he could have just got up and did the same song to it with the DJ playing. It is what it is. But there's just difference to it when you really outline and think about the way your 15 minutes or 30-minute set's gonna be. You know what I mean?
Right. No, definitely.
I always appreciate that shit. So
same.
So you guys hit the road, and did you see like a fan base growth throughout that process? Like being on tour, were you noticing that you guys were? I guess I don't know how you calculate that at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
Yeah.
I know we got a deal after that.
You did.
Yeah.
Who'd you guys sign with?
Interscope.
I know we got a deal. That's hard. That's from the tour.
I think there's some correlation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the tour, like it was, I was like, oh, okay, let's bring these guys in.
Right.
But up until that point, labels had been courting us.
Yeah.
and we've been, we were taking meetings and talking, and I think it was like just one of those things where like we were still independent, and we were able to get on a nationwide tour where, at the time, one of the biggest like up and coming artists, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
and so
incredible.
like literally like right as the tour ended, Good Kid, Mad City dropped. Like I remember it was like October 22nd, I think.
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
Or 2013, 2012.
Around that time.
Yeah. And so like we were still on tour like when the album dropped. So it was like, there's just a lot of eyes on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember he was booked at that school for the sweatshirt you're wearing, and they got him. It was cheap. It wasn't very expensive. Yeah. And then swimming pools dropped, and this shit went nuts.
Right.
And then his fee was like 10 times that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Changed a little bit.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's nuts. So what was it like signing to the label? And I'm sure did you ever get any advice from like people like Dave on that tour, or did you ever find any advice about like, yo, shit, what do you guys think we should do? Were you guys leaning on anybody?
Not necessarily about the label situation. I mean, it was really just some laid back shit. Like we would just kick it and chill. I remember, Swift used to be on the bus playing, 2K with J-Rock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He'll pass a Henny cup. You know what I mean? It was just,
it
just wasn't as like it wasn't as like I guess instructive. Like it wasn't like, yo, y'all need to do this next. It was just more so like, you take what you need, observe, you know what I mean? And apply it as you see fit.
Right. Are you signed to anyone right now?
Nah, independent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you signed to Interscope, for you guys, what's that like for you guys? Like what is the deal? Like how did you guys decide that this was the one you should take?
It was kind of like if you're an artist, I mean it's changing now, but for a long time it was like, yo, getting a major label deal was like going to getting drafted to the league, you know what I mean, or getting caught up to to the big times. So it was, it was still that nostalgia of it was still there.
Right.
But it wasn't like how I always envisioned it. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought one day, Jay would call me on stage and hand me a rock chain. You know what I'm saying? Like it was nothing like that. Like they mailed us the contract.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're in Ohio and they mailed us the contract for us to sign. Like it was like that kind of shit. You know what I mean? So I'm in my homie's living room signing a major label deal. It just wasn't what I always thought it would look like.
Right.
But I think that's kind of like what happens in life. Like, like I think a lot of times we have like these like grandiose ideas of like did I say that right? Of how shit is going to look like.
Right.
And then when you get there, you're like, I still made it, but it just don't look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a bad thing. It's just, I think the fantasy of a lot of stuff, like we kind of romanticize like a lot of things, and it really don't happen like that for a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the time you achieve, I mean, when we set goals, time passes by the time we set that goal. So by the time, it could have been, by the time you came up with the dream of I want to be signed to a major label, if you would have signed that day, shit could have been champagne spraying and you flown out and all this shit. Then it's different just because maybe their budgets are cut in half from that point. You know what I mean?
I'm sure if we were in Los Angeles,
it would have been that.
It might have looked different.
Yeah.
We probably would have went to the office.
Yeah.
But we were still, our home base was still Ohio. Right. So, and that was part of the reason why, how I ended up out here. Because it was like, yo, we're on an island. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for anybody in the label to come to Columbus. You know what I mean? Like, unless one of the artists got a show and they're on road with him or her, they're just not popping up in Columbus, So it's like, okay, we got to be closer to, the action. Kind of like a common theme, like, you got to be where shit is happening at.
Well, and I think maybe the biggest part is people's fear of making that move. That adjustment is tough to make. You don't know what's going to happen. It's a foreign space and all this shit. And then to be signed just kind of gives you a little bit more motivation, I would imagine, to like feel like you could do it. You know what I mean? Like, all right, fuck it, we're going out there. When did you move?
2014.
So it was like right after you got signed?
Yeah, so like we signed 2013. We dropped Project Small Victories. Technically it was under the label. And then we were planning it. I think we were about to go on tour with, I want to say Common and Jay Electronica. And then the group imploded.
So that was like right after. So you guys all moved, and then it just you guys moved.
Well, we
into
had
a studio?
moved. So we were out in Los Angeles because we had studio time. So we were mixing, recording,
right.
And we were like, yo, we just need to be out here. Like, it just makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
You know? So we started looking for a place, and then this was September of 2014. Then we went back home, and shit went to shit. So at that point, it was like, well, like what am I going to do in Columbus? You know, so I might as well move to.
Wait, why'd you guys go back? You guys went back to Ohio for?
Yeah, because we were scheduled to go back. Like it was while we were out here visiting and recording and working. At that point, we were like, yo, maybe we should just relocate. You know, and so nothing back home was tight. You know, like we still we got to close up, business and pack and all that. So none of that was done. So once we got back home,
the conversation happened.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So was it like, have you ever talked about that shit?
Nah.
Did you not bring this shit up or what?
Nah. I just said imploded, you know?
That's crazy though, to think of like where it's interesting to see a group, like for me, I like having been so involved in music, and at the time for me I always knew we needed to be in LA, but around it, like my homies that we were doing all this shit with, like someone had their full-time job and they were getting married, and this became very real for them, and like we were chasing a dream that could become something, but we don't know, and that became stressful. And at a certain point I'm like, man, I'm waiting for everyone to go. I just got to figure this shit out. So I left. Like that was my situation.
So it was kind of similar. It's just I wasn't I still was holding on. You know what I mean? Like it's like those relationships where
we had something great going.
We could, if we just stick through it, just fight through it. You know, we can still make it work. And sometimes you just gotta let shit go.
Sure.
In theory, like a lot of things could work, but if it's not working, it's not working.
Right. Facts.
So it was just one of those things where, like I said before, like if you don't make a decision, the universe will make it for you. So it made it for me.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So then immediately you moved to LA, or?
Yeah, like next month.
Wow, shit.
Yeah, the next month, like November of. So we was out here. I think we got back like either late September or early October.
Right.
So I was there for probably like a month.
So then what? How do you break the news to the label? Is that like a weird thing? Like what, you sign a contract? Is there something?
I think our attorney may have told him. I can't remember how it went down, but I think they were in a weird transition themselves.
The label?
Yeah, the label. So it was kind of like one of those things where they were like, well, all right, cool. We'll just let y'all go.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's kind of, a blessing in disguise in a sense, because they ain't,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
So were they investing into you guys in the studio at that time, or?
Yeah, there was money spent.
There was spent.
Yeah, there was money spent on visuals, advance. We got that. But it also look, and that's another dynamic, when you're in a group, you got to divvy that up 3 ways.
Yeah, it might look cool, and then
and then you got a manager, and then you got an attorney. It's a lot different from being like a solo act.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. So you move out here. Was your goal like, all right, cool, I got this Interscope Connect. I want to try to figure out how I can kind of leverage my personal brand and what I'm doing.
Yep.
And shift that way. And that was like was that your goal immediately?
Yeah, it was like, I got some good relationships in Los Angeles.
Right.
There's some A&Rs at Interscope that really rock with me. And so, I started, making some music, and we even went back into Interscope and had another meeting with him, shout out to my guy Tunji. Like he's one of those A&Rs, he got his pulse on everything.
Yeah,
and he's behind a lot of like, guys and women that are like, at the forefront of this shit right now. But he was a believer. So he was like, yo, I'm trying to get you to stay, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out.
So then what were you doing to like, because you've been so reliant on a squad to like make your music internally. Like, was there a lot of collaboration early on with other producers and shit? Or was it just you guys, right?
No, it was like at one point I produced, like I used to produce.
Yeah.
And that's probably like one of like if there, one of my regrets is not continuing that, you know what I mean? Because at that point it was like, well, I got 2 guys who produce.
Right. I'll
you
just
know,
rap.
yeah, I'll just do that, you know, because I'm good at that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like in a lot of ways just had to regroup, you know, because you know you're used to having an engineer that records everything,
right?
You know, you're used to having in-house producers, you know, so now it's like it's just you,
right?
So it's like and a lot of times, you know, like at least with solo artists when they're coming up, you're building relationships with different producers, different engineers, different, you know, because it's not always uniform. More collaborative. Yeah. But like since I had that in-house, I didn't have to do that per se. So it was just a learning curve, you know, of figuring out, okay, how am I going to achieve this goal?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I had to figure it out.
So did you just start linking with producers that were in LA or what? How'd you start making music? Eventually, we were able to get to the point of being of talking, you know what I mean, being adults about it. And it was like, yo, you know, because I started working on a solo project when I was still in the group. Right.
I probably had like 1 or 2 songs done. And I'm like, yo, you know, since we're talking now,
yeah,
you know, you guys, would you be interested in helping me finish this passion project, you know? And they both were in on it. So each producer had 5 songs on my first album,
Damn.
Never How You Plan.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So then you guys are good now.
I mean, we're cool.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
like it's not, you know, we're not trying to fight each other. You know
right,
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was never, I don't think it was never hate like that. It was
right.
just, you know, like life happens, you know,
right,
like
sure.
when you were saying, you know, people definitely have different ideas and aspirations for themselves, you know, and they compromise and sacrifice for a group.
Yeah.
You know, and at some point, like you got to decide, all right, what's more important?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you put out that project. That's what, 2016.
2016. Yeah.
Dropped the project. How is it received for you? Like, how did you feel for?
So like, and this kind of speaks to what the hiatus was between projects.
Right.
Mentally, it was more so like I was like, yo, I just want to. This is just a personal goal of mine, like to put out a solo album.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know? So I just want to do that and then figure it out, you know. But so mentally, I'm already like, okay, what's next for Jerreau?
Right.
Like after music.
The project. How many songs? There's what? Never How You Plan. So
Yeah.
how many songs were on that?
I think 12 or 13.
Okay, so it's like an album.
Yeah, no, it's an album. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
I mean, I appreciate bodies of work.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. So I put it out, but mentally I'm already like, all right, what's next?
Right.
You know, like this
Yeah.
is done. Like what's next? Is music still for me? You know what I mean? Like, should I be, you know, applying for jobs? You know, like what? You know?
Yeah.
And I put out Really Got It as a single. And then I wake up one day and, you know, and Brian's on his IG.
Done.
Yeah. And so I'm like, oh shit. You know, so it just had legs after that.
Had he ever done anything like that with you guys before?
Yeah, I mean, he's always posted, you know, like album covers and like, yo, tweets, you know, y'all check out the homies, check out, you know. But I think this had a visual component to it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
he's part of it.
Yeah, and then what happened was he posted it right before he does his Dark Knight 30 thing.
Okay.
So, you know, he's in the playoffs, you know, killing shit. And so if you go to his page, the last thing you see,
damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it was like a perfect storm type shit. Like
Absolutely.
It became like the theme song for the playoff run.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I end up performing at the finals,
which is insane.
You know what I mean? Like I do I have a Beats campaign. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, Nike campaign, 2K. You know what I'm saying? So it was like shit. Like, you know, the music's good, but then you have like this, just a perfect storm.
Right.
You know.
Which is crazy because you were just talking about from the jump, you guys never really just did singles, like,
Right.
and you randomly just did a single,
Yeah.
which got back in his hands.
Yeah, because it was. I mean, I sent it to him.
You did?
Yeah, I sent it to him. Like, yo, but I never do that shit. Like, yo, can you do this?
Right.
Because I mean,
No, you just say here.
yeah, he gonna do whatever he want to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, ain't nobody telling him what to do.
Right.
So it's like, you know, I send it to all the homies. You know, like, yo, this the new single. But my I always send it to Mav first though. Like, he's like the tester.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
ironic, like, I've never told this story, but originally I sent him Really Got It, and the hook was only I really got it, and it was some space. It's like,
Yeah,
I
so
really
feel
do,
that.
I really got it. He was like, I love it, but you should put something in between there. And so I started thinking about it because, you know, I'm very like when I send people shit, to me it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, so it was like, what you mean put something
Yeah,
in there?
exactly, right.
So then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay. So, you know, I tweaked it, and then I sent it to everybody.
Right.
So, yeah, that was like one of those moments where, you know, getting outside opinion worked for me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Which
yeah.
is cool because it's like leaning on the group. It's
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you get the collaboration.
Yeah.
feel. What, like, you wake up, this shit's on the internet, everyone's going bananas for the song socially. Like, you get to go and play it. The halftime performance? It was during halftime or
Yeah, halftime performance.
during the finals, bro?
Yeah, 2016, yeah.
It's gotta be like the Super Bowl and then the NBA finals are like the most watched thing on TV.
At least sports-wise.
Sports-wise,
I know for sure.
yeah.
I think Super Bowl is like the most watched, period.
But I mean,
Yeah.
basketball's the biggest. Like,
Yeah, it gotta be close.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What? I mean, what's the moment feel like for you like kind of bringing all that together? Like, what's that moment like for you?
It's
when
like
you
those
reflect on it?
like full circle moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like growing up, you know, your mind, yo, I'm gonna be in the league one day, you know, like I'm gonna play basketball, you know. It didn't happen that way, but I ended up
on the court.
you know what I'm saying? So it's like those shit like that is like poetic to me. Like, damn, like in my mind I said I was gonna be on the NBA court one day. I didn't know it would be like this.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So like I just love like stories like that, you know. Like,
Yeah, I love that shit too. That's tight as fuck.
Yeah, yeah, and I was dope, and it was dope too because, I took my pops to the game, and that was his first NBA game.
Wow.
And so it just happened, you know, to be that his son is performing too.
And LeBron won.
Exactly, and they won the title.
And your dad's there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't perform the game that they.
Yeah, right. The winning game.
Yeah, but it was just, you know, the finals, you know, and that was the year they were down 3-1.
That's crazy.
So it was like that song just had legs because it was like a part of the, you know, the
finals.
story.
Yeah. And
You know?
and I mean, everyone's starting to replay that shit.
Right.
It's getting played everywhere.
Right.
I'm sure Ohio's going nuts playing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. You know, clubs, arenas, you know, it was dope. Like, it was dope to see, like, wow, you know, like it's possible. You know, not that you never doubt it, but it's like, you know, you don't see it until you see it.
Right.
You know, so, but still mentally I'm like, all right, so now I gotta, you know, go do the song and dance and do shows and perform. And so like a year after that wears off, it's like, I need to start working on something, or do I?
Right.
Do I still even want to do this shit?
Really? Because I think that's what's so interesting is before you said that you posted, or at that point you're like, man, do I start looking for jobs? Do I want? And so you thought about it before. Then you get the biggest wave that anyone could ask for. And then after you're still like, was that it?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's like, how do I pivot this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's next for me? Because, and maybe some of it might have been self-doubt.
I was gonna say fear
Yeah.
and shit could be massive during that.
Yeah,
moment.
it could have been that too. But I think in my like, I just wasn't in a creative space, like, to create.
Right.
Like, you know, I wasn't thinking about, yo, you know, let me go to the studio. You know, it just wasn't there for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like, let me sit down and write some raps. You know, because with that album I had to, you know, kind of like MacGyver it in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm recording in my, you know, in my studio, or my not studio, but studio apartment in Koreatown.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then I'm sending the files back to Eyeball to mix. You know, so it's like it wasn't ideal for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like you know, your mind is like, okay, I need an engineer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I need somebody there. You know what I mean? I need my producers here to like
a vibe, like you get a real vibe.
Yeah, and it wasn't none of that.
Right.
So it was like me just I had to mentally just create that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like I have to live to create. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
right,
it's like I put a lot into the albums and the songs, and so that it takes a lot out of you. So it's like and I had my whole life to make my first solo album.
Right.
So it's like, well, shit, like what am I gonna do to create the next one? Like, how can I get all of these enough experiences to make the next one feel or sound equally as good,
right? If
not better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what, like, how do you position that? It's like you go off of the biggest high to that low. And I feel like the fear presses in. Everybody in the media probably weighs in on that, right? Like you look at all these artists that have these breakout moments, and then everyone's expecting like you to fucking go get a bazillion views again on the next one, and it's like, or they're not, or the feeling of like you drop the next song and maybe it doesn't get 5 million views in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
but
and it's like,
like that's gotta take a toll, right? Well, not even opinion wise, but for you, like,
yeah, like I look at it. People aren't forgiving. Like they're harsh, tough critics. But a lot of times they're criticizing the wrong shit.
Right. Exactly.
It's like how many people can wake up and say they're doing what they want to do, and it's paying their bills. Right. Like there's so many artists who are making a living that you don't know of. Right. That you've never heard of. You know, like sometimes I be on like IG, I come across a page, I'm like, who the fuck is this? Right. And they got millions of followers, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hella it's not bought, it's like real shit, you know what I mean? And I'm like, who is this? Because there's so many different wards you can live in. And so in my mind, I just get confused sometimes when I hear people talk about like art and how how it's consumed. And I'm like, yo, like, first off, like doing this, is not a lot of people who can say that they're artists, right? And they're making a living off of it. Like it's a very small amount of people. The same way it's a very small amount of people who play professional sports, right? Yeah, man. So when you really step back and look at it, like it's really impossible to do, right? Like the cost of entry is lower for music, but when it comes to like the sustainability, and the top tier guys, like that's damn near impossible, right? So it's like there's a lot of middle ground, that people forget about or don't think about, but it's a lot of people in that middle who are making a career doing what they love, and they can don't have to work a 9 to 5. Right, exactly. And there's like so many ways to build a sustainable fan base that can really thrive behind you and support you along the way, where I think too many people aim too big sometimes, and if they don't hit it, that's what deters you. And there's some people who just like your casual listener, right? Like I was talking to this dude earlier, and I was like, believe it or not, there's some people who only know like Jay-Z's biggest hits, right? Like they might not have went back and dug into his discography and said, oh, he got 13 great albums, right? But they know Hard Knock Life. Right. Or they might have caught on with New York, or they might have caught on with 99 Problems, and okay, what I'm saying, like, but you like even the fact that they like that music and they're like not going above and beyond to discover more shit they're gonna like too. What I mean? That's crazy. Yeah, it's like if that's because like somebody asked me one earlier today, is like another interview, he was talking, he was like, I be, trying to tell my friends, like, yo, y'all gotta really listen. And we had this conversation about being like a one-hit wonder. And I'm like, well, what does that really look like? Right. Like, what does that really mean? And if that means like, I can have a sustainable career and pay my bills and can travel, I'm okay with that. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's better than fucking not know what you're gonna do or have to go back to school or go do. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, especially knowing that some of the biggest artists in the world are known for their biggest like work.
right.
You know, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if that makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like there's some fans, you know what I mean, that, you know, are diehard fans
course.
and they consume everything. But I know some people who only, you know, turn on a playlist and whatever's on that playlist is how they find their new music.
Yeah, of course. Right.
You know, so that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Right.
Like,
No,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you go, you know, you create this project. You obviously didn't give up.
Right.
You're still here, standing here, bro. But so then what? How do you kind of navigate the next few years? It's like there's so much time. You don't prefer to be in the studio. You're getting experiences in LA.
Yeah.
Have you toured since then?
Well, so after the album dropped, I was doing shows.
You got to do a lot of
Yeah, I
shows.
was doing shows, you know.
Right.
But at some point, you know, that starts to slow down. So then it's like, all right, what's next? Like, let me start working on the next thing. You know,
Right.
the next album, the next project. And that's how it should go, at least.
Right.
And some people are working on that simultaneously, you know what I mean? Like, they're on the road and they're still recording and still
Right.
writing. But mentally, I wasn't in that space.
Right.
And so after, you know, in between projects, you know, it's just not many shows coming because you're in between projects. And then I think probably like a year and a half ago, I started really working out, and I just brought me clarity. You know what I mean? I just really helped with my creative process, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's like probably the direct correlation between completing this new album or finding a reason to create.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Like having that as like your side hobby is
Yeah.
when you work out, I don't know why,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, like, so me and Dave will be working in here every single day.
Right.
We both go to the gym and we make that shit an immediate, like, that's the first thing we like to get done in the morning. We got to do it.
What time are you in there?
It just depends. Sometimes we're trying to act like we're cool and can get up at 5 a.m. Sometimes we be in there at 9. So it's like, but we try to go in the morning.
Okay.
But when I'm in there, Dave will know I'm in the gym because all of a sudden I'm firing off ideas to him. Like,
Yeah.
I just think of a million fucking things. I'm like, dude, to the point where I sometimes will walk out of a workout because I'm like, all right, this is it. I just found the key. And when he's there, he needs to be listening to music loud as shit, and he doesn't want to think about anything for an hour and a half. Like, when you're in the gym, do you find like inspiration or ideas, or begin brainstorming for your record? Did that start happening at that point, or you just feel better?
I feel better. It's a combination of all that.
Yeah.
You know, like some days, you know, it's a way for me to consume like podcasts or a book. You know, other days I'm listening to, you know, albums that I haven't been able to check out.
Right.
You know, other days I'm listening to instrumentals. You know, so it just depends. But I just know it's a window where it's going to give me some kind of clarity.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there might be ideas, but sometimes it's weird. Some days you in there like, fuck, I need to work out because
I know.
in between sets you just, you know, jotting down notes and shit, or like ideas, or you calling, you like, oh shit, I got called.
I
you
know.
So it's like I'm trying to find that like put my phone away type thing, but then my workout is on my phone too. So it's like,
I know. I put on Do Not Disturb and try to.
I do that. I do that for sure.
It's sick.
Yeah.
Because I'll just.
Then I go to IG in between.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
But there's like a 4-year gap, right? Before from when you dropped that shit in 2016, you just dropped your recent. What month?
Yeah, it was
January.
3 years and 10 months.
To the point. All right, so that's a long time, right? Like
relatively, yeah.
It's fairly long from an artist that like you can't. I mean, the common theme is usually like someone drops something, if it gets heat,
they keep going. Yeah,
like try to ride it real quick. Yours was almost the opposite. You're like, okay, I'm not really inspired right now for that, and then it took some time, and then you kind of kicked it into gear.
Right.
So it took you a year and a half to record.
Yeah. So it's so basically like it was like a year and a half after the album dropped. I'm still riding the wave of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like still doing shows, still, you know, whatever you do after the album drop. And so in theory, you would have been, you know, tucking songs away.
Right.
You know, I like to that point, like I said before, I just wasn't there mentally, like in the creative space.
Yeah.
So probably about like a year and a half ago is when I started working out and when it's to start to come to me like, okay,
right,
it's making more sense to me now.
Yeah.
You know, like for the most part, like from my perspective, like when I step back and look at most like quality bodies of work that will like last, it's like a 2-year process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
I know that it's not always like that.
Right.
But for the most part, like the guys of our generation who we looking at, the Kendricks, the Coles, even the Drakes, you know, they're not just tuning out albums.
Right.
You know, it's not an excuse, you know, because I would love to be able. There's some artists who can go in the studio and just knock shit out. You know, they just do it. And it's not like I can't do that.
Right.
It just won't be as meaningful for me in the kind of art that I make.
Yeah, you want to live in it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you know, so like that dynamic too. And then, you know, just being, I don't want to say hard on myself, but just making sure I'm saying what I want to say or what I'm trying to say, or that I'm conveying the message I'm trying to get out. You know, it's just a process.
Yeah, of course. How'd you come up with the title on this?
It sounds very selfish, you know. I think when people first hear it, like, keep everything yourself. Like, we don't share. Like, what do you mean?
Right.
You know. But it's kind of like ties into the working out, like self-care, take care, asking yourself tough questions. You know, like, why do I believe this? You know, do I really believe this? You know. So all of that shit. So it just became like a mantra of like taking care of like yourself and self work before you know, step out into the world.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
That's dope. Who were you working with? Any of the guys from the group on this, or who'd you work on this album with?
This is the first project I've done completely outside of any of like previous music ties.
So what's that mean to you? Like, I mean, that's a big step, right? Like,
no, yeah, definitely. It's like it's just more affirmation. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you can do it. You know, it's not like I ever doubted myself, but it's more so like, oh, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's like, you know, hitting the winning shot. And you're like, I know I could do it, and I just did it. You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
It was fun. You know, we had fun. You know, it was a lot of because like the main producer, my guy Jerreau, he's based in New York.
Okay.
And so, you know, he's ironically, I was at this party in LA one night, and this dude just ran up on me. He's like, yo, I fuck with your music. You know, my guy Jerreau, you should link with him. Like he produced Hella Hoes for ASAP, and I was like, oh word, you know, I fuck with that joint. And so I think he put us on either text or email that night, and then
it just started building.
Yeah, the rest was history. So he produced 8 of the 12 songs.
Right. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like,
so even in the dial in your most ideal situation, like, all right, I got my shit together, I like LA, I'm gonna record. You're still sending fucking songs back.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, but it just worked because I think a lot of times, like, well, not a lot of times, I say in my experience, like dealing with some producers, they don't want to take instruction. Like, it's like, this is what I want you to rap on. This is what I think sounds good for you. And it's like, I okay, but I'm very intuitive. Like, I'm very like hands-on with the music. Like, I know, I kind of pride myself on being an A&R, right? You know, so it's like, you know, it was easy to work with him because he there wasn't any pushback. Like, he would sometimes challenge me and say, well, I think this could work for you, and then we'd talk through it. Right. And I'd be like, well, I don't know, but you know, this is probably the first time I've been as like even open to taking like constructive criticism or whatever you want to call whatever
it,
it's called, like
feedback.
Our advice, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and it wasn't necessarily on the raps per se, it was just more so on the production style.
Right, sure.
Like, you know, I think you should do this, and I'm like, nah, I don't know, bruh.
Right.
Like, nah, I think you should. So it's like, all right, fuck it, I'll try it.
Right.
Like that kind of thing, you know. But for the most part, it was very like, yo, I'm sending references. I'm like, yo, this is the direction I want to go in, and he was like, all right, cool.
Right.
You know, and chop it up.
Yeah, that's fire.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, I imagine like you doing loads of press on this project or whatever, and people are gonna nitpick it. But for people who are listening to this, especially this creative community that we have, if someone's listening to this shit for the first time, hearing an interview with you, what's the best way you could describe that album? Like, who's on it? What's it sound like to you for you with this project?
I would say it sounds like the maturation of Jerreau. But if you've never heard anything,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no reference. I don't know. I think it. Excuse me. It's that coffee.
You're good.
I think it. It has some nostalgia to it. But it's not. But it's today.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. It's like it's I don't know. I just say it's me.
I got to I listened to like half of it today.
Okay.
And it felt like relaxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like I could focus on what you were saying. Like,
yeah.
it wasn't too much happening, you know what I mean, which it was enjoyable, but yeah, it's interesting to hear you say the nostalgia factor of it.
Yeah, and because I think that's there, but it still feels like 2020.
Right. Yeah, you can bring it up.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
damn. So now that that's out, what's like the intention for you right now with having this new project? You run off the steam of that, like you said, last one went for 1.5 years. What are you doing?
I'm taking another break.
Are you?
No, I'm joking.
I was like, what?
Nah. I'm in a different space mentally. You know what I mean? Like just I'm just ready. I just want to create.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure out shows and tours. But I'm just in a creative space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how often do you, like right now, balance of like recording, trying to get in, actually record stuff, or just for you, what's a creative space like?
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because thinking about it, then for me, it's like it pushes me to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not even thinking about making music, then that's some other shit, But it's like my mind, I'm like, there's a couple of tracks that I have already that I need to finish, that I want to finish, and so it's like carving out time to because I don't need to finish it all in one setting. I just need to make sure I allocate some time to put effort into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, sure.
And then eventually it'll get done. But there's like 2 drawings that I need to finish like ASAP.
Right.
Yeah.
That's dope. Fuck, man. It's a crazy career. It's like a wild ride.
No, it is.
Over 10 years. Like, from, you know what I mean? Like, to really bring it to this point and to now successfully have like sustained yourself as a solo artist, which is like, I mean, it's just, I don't think people will ever understand what it's like to come from a group into solo. And that's applaud you for that, because there's no way that's easy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's not. I mean, anybody that's been in a codependent relationship knows what it's like.
Right.
When you break up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, I was leaning on them a little too. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real thing. Right. And I just look at relationships, they are the same. It's just the intimacy changes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the foundation of relationships are still the same. You might be, I'm not saying you are, but you might be having sex with your friends, but for the most part, I'm not having sex with my friends. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's the same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have trust, communication. You know what I mean? Like, all of that shit is the same.
Right.
And it just intimacy changed.
Right.
Yeah.
We always do this Q&A session with our Patreon squad, so I'm gonna fire out some questions from the community to you.
Okay, bet.
I won't keep you here too long. All right. So Dakota asked. He said,
"Is it live?"
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I let him know you were coming.
Oh, okay. I was like,
damn. He said, first of all, your music is slap. All right, loves your music, it slaps. My question is, when Really Got It popped off, did you find yourself working harder than ever to ride that wave of recognition and get right back into the studio, or did you have opportunities to come up? That put the new album on hold till recently? And congrats on the new album, which we kind of dive into.
Yeah.
But I mean, riding that wave, like, it almost felt like, it goes out, and you were doing. I mean, you are on 2K.
Yeah, 2K, Nike Spot, did a Beats campaign.
Samsung or something, did I read? Did you do anything with Samsung?
That was like Fly You shit.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, Fly You shit.
But all that shit came out just from the one record. Well,
I had rapport with a lot of those companies, which is sometimes, they just need something. It was a perfect opportunity for the people that had been championing me to step up and be like, yeah, let's go.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like, yo, I need to ride this wave, because still at the time I still didn't have no producers.
Right.
I still didn't have no engineer. So the idea that I was going to keep going wasn't.
Even if you did at that time, like, everyone would be like, fucking go outside, like go do, you know what I mean, mix, like those campaigns and everything can like become iconic. Obviously, it's like
for sure,
you're in a game, bro. Like to have a like that stuff's wild. Like
that shit is dope. You know, like shit. You know what I mean? Like growing up, like to the point about ending up on the court. It's
with
like,
Rock.
You playing video games, like damn, like I wish I was in this game.
Yeah.
Now your music is in it.
That's unreal. That's crazy. So when you were negotiating those deals, or not negotiating, but like getting those deals, that started leveling you up financially, so that you could kind of focus on where you wanted to go moving forward. Like you don't have independent or you don't have label budgets anymore, right?
Right.
So a lot of artists need those types of deals.
No, you need them. You need those sync deals. You
get them when you have a label too.
Yeah.
But like fuck.
Yeah, but you need those. And ironically, a lot of times what it does is it creates opportunities to make money outside of music. You know what I mean? Like the Nike ad, for example. That's not a music related thing.
Right.
Now I'm modeling.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the trade off. I don't want to say trade off, but that's the like a benefit of of putting out your art, and then other disciplines or other industries are coming like, yo, we could do this too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, let me ask another question. Sorry. Damo, he says, before the success of Really Got It, everyone went straight to that shit. How did you stay motivated and keep pushing for placements? Like, were you actively ever looking for placements besides, even with artists? Like, were you ever actively trying, like, yo, we gotta get featured with this person, we gotta get featured with this person?
Not per se, because if you notice, like on my projects, it's not feature heavy.
Right.
Like, and if there are features, the R&B features.
Right.
So that's kind of intentional. I do understand. I know the value of features. It's just in this particular. The way that I wanted to present my art, I'm doing enough rapping.
Yeah, sure.
So it wasn't as if I was, actively pursuing features. It was just more so like, let me just finish this album.
Right. Yeah. Right. Get the message across and like showcase what you can do.
Yeah. So really got it. I'll just bunker it down. And sometimes, you hit a creative like streak. Then other times it's just not there for you. So you just gotta like take advantage of it when it comes.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
His follow-up question was, how would you recommend getting away from a desk job to pursue a career in music and entertainment? Any suggestions?
Well, it depends on where you live. Because I think just some opportunities are just, more readily available in different markets.
Right.
Yeah, good luck. No, I want to tell you to quit your job, but quit your job, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I feel you.
I mean, it's one of those things where you just know there's no right, wrong. It's case by case.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you find your success in Ohio.
Yeah.
And move for more. You had
just case by case. And if you, can sustain a lifestyle without working a 9 to 5, then that gives you time to allocate to pursuing what you want to do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, find a hustle.
Fucking run after that shit.
Nah,
that's solid. I appreciate you doing this interview, bro.
I appreciate you having me.
Before we wrap it up, I always do this thing where I let you basically pick a hashtag, right? So what I'm gonna tell everyone to do if they're listening to this on like an audio platform, we have the YouTube shit, so you can watch our face talk to each other.
Word.
But I want them to go to the comment section and they're gonna put this hashtag that you put, and I also want them to give us a takeaway that they got from this interview.
So okay.
So you could choose whatever hashtag you want, and then they'll all go through and do that.
Okay. Hopefully, it's takeaway is perseverance. But I will say, let's do keys. KEYS. Keep everything yourself.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Damn,
keys.
That's hard. All right, cool. We're running with that. Thank you again, bro. For real.
Thanks.
This is great to meet you.
Likewise.
It was awesome. All right, that's it. Boom. Thank you, man. That's it for episode 160. Huge thank you to Jerreau for coming on the show. We appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that listened all the way through. We love it if you drop the biggest takeaway that you got from this episode and use that hashtag that Jerreau said in the podcast, and do it in the comments on this YouTube video. If you're not listening on YouTube, you should hop on YouTube real quick just to send it real quick and drop that line. We'd appreciate that. If you want a chance to ask any of our guest questions like we did on the show today, we have the Q&A experience with our Patreon community. You can join the crew at jointhehomies.com and submit your questions there. Follow us on Instagram at Black with No Cream. For show. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy the work week. Keep creating. Make sure to tune in every single Wednesday and Sunday. See you in a few days, you bitch.